and we have a busy night tonight. I was I jokingly showed my tennis racket off to Kofi, and Kofi and I played tennis together. But being a president-elect is a lot like practicing for tennis. Anybody can pick up a racket, anybody can hit a ball, but it takes a lot of practice to get good at what we're going to do here. And much like being a Rotary Club president, the training that we're involved in helps us get better at it. Anybody can be named president, but to be effective, you got to get some skills. And so we're going to be learning a few different skills today and covering some ground that we think is really important to just about every club in our district. So tonight we're going to be talking about membership and how to engage your members and make your clubs active and vibrant. And that's going to be Kevin Crosby, our past district governor, is going to be leading us in that discussion. Afterwards, immediate past district governor Frank Adamson will be talking about membership development. Who in this room doesn't have an issue getting members? Well, we're going to try to talk about some strategies we can employ to get them, grow your clubs and get them stronger. And finally, we are going to, after taking a short break, we're going to have a discussion about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, everybody knows that Rotary International has an initiative for DEI. Well, we want to talk about that. We think this is a really good opportunity, not only for your clubs, but for Rotary in general to reach out and get our clubs even better and stronger by adding that component to our growth. So without further ado, I'm not going to talk too much longer here, but we're going to have a great night. And I want you to be active and engaging when you get to your breakout sessions. Let's add to the conversation. We can all learn from each other. But now, I was going to say Nashville, Tennessee, but I think she's in Knoxville, Tennessee. I thought for sure she was heading down to do a music career down there. But our district governor-elect,
Can't find my thing.
What?
she flew all the way in from Canada, and boy, are her arms tired.
That's a good joke. I don't know. There's something on the screen there. I hope everyone can hear me. I will just keep talking. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be with us this evening with our President-elect's seminar. I have several things to say. Of course, I'm full of excitement about our year coming. I want to remind you, this is being videotaped or recorded. So if you find that there's portions of any of the segments that you've been part of over the last few pets, this being the third one, it can be viewed in segments or sent out to people within your club, but it can be used in segments. You can watch, 10 minutes of it, a certain segment at your club as a training session as well. So keep that in mind. We have our club training assembly coming up, and we used to call it the spring assembly and the district training assembly. It's our spring assembly. It's when we come together traditionally to have training for specific roles in Rotary, and also to have the opportunity to learn more about Rotary and be engaged. And I always quote past District Governor Melissa Schrock. She says, we all have a Rotary mojo inside of us, and we have to find that. It's not always in our club. Sometimes we need to be involved in different aspects of Rotary. It's a big Rotary world out there, not just your club. So the club training assembly is on I want to tell you, it's two parts. The first part is on Thursday, May 5th in the evening, May 5th. And we are having role-specific trainings at that time for you, the presidents-elect, for the assistant governors in your own streams, secretaries, foundation, public image, treasurer, and membership leads. Very specific focused training and discussions amongst yourself in those roles. The registration is just being launched, I think, as of tomorrow, April 1st. So you'll see more on the website about that and the invitation to register. For everyone in Rotary, our family of Rotary, your family might want to, come out to something and join it with you. Of course, Rotaract as well on the Saturday, May 7th in the morning from 8:30 till noon. We have two sets of sessions there's 8 sessions being offered and another set of 8 sessions. So we have 16, they're all different. So Rotaract has their own stream, but we have things on fundraising, governance, service, Rotary 101, and even Tom Gerbazzi, who's on here, he and I are going to be doing Rotary Fun and Fellowships, because you need to know that I've entrusted Tommy to be our champion of Rotary Fun and Fellowship for the next Rotary year. So he's already doing the toast, and he's going to make everything fun and everyone can join in Because if it's not fun, then why do it? So that's about Club Training Assembly. The registration's going out. The next is our graduation for our class here at the end of May, May 26th. We have Zone Director-elect Drew Kessler coming out. Honest gosh, the more I hear about Drew, he's like 41, 42, and he's been in Rotary for 20 years. He lives and breathes Rotary. His whole family's involved. He says, if the family's not involved, I'm not involved. So it's the family of Rotary for him, and he'll be talking about all of that, engaging all generations in mentoring volunteerism and living your life as a Rotarian. So he's going to be doing question and answer, and I'll ask you another time for more questions that we could be asking him. So that's May 26th. I also have your banners and pins for next year. I've already just given out one banner, and Louise got it from Norfolk Sunrise because I was there the other night and I was so proud to give her the banner. If you went to Pets in person, you would have left with the banner for the new Rotary year. But I have them and they're in my basement in a box, and I'm going to be starting to hand them out. And so I'll be going to different places and you'll get it. It has a big image, Imagine Rotary. It has the logo on it. And it's very easy to describe what the image is about to everyone. So I have those. And this year I did decide and ordered pins. So there's enough pins for everyone in Rotary and Rotaract to get a pin, a theme pin. So we're gonna have that. Please, a gentle reminder, please ask your secretary or whoever does it in your club to get your executive positions on Club Runner for the July 1st year, for our new year. So make sure you get them there so people are getting the right communication, and we're tapping and asking people and they're the right people. Sometimes there's placeholders. So please get the executive put in. If you haven't, make a gentle reminder to someone. I've been reminded that there's a few that need to be done. So I'm just putting it out there for everyone. And our changeover, the changeover between the 1 year to the Rotary year is on Saturday, June 25th, and everyone is invited. It's going to be in Thorold. You'll hear more about it. And it's going to be tied into the Canada Summer Games Torch Run, which will be started there. And it's being hosted by Rotary and Rotaract and Niagara clubs. And so we're very honored to have Valerie Wafer, who is the Rotary Vice President of the world right now. And she's a Canadian. She'll be joining us. And Governor Ann and myself will change symbolically. We'll be running together with the torch run, and we're going to be having a party then as well. And we ask Rotarians to join in, but a very innovative and interesting thing. I have to thank Frank Adamson, past District Governor Frank, for doing this. And we're going to have a celebration on the Monday online, a virtual celebration online on Monday, June 27th. So if you can try to have your changeover parties not on that night. So June 27th. And I only have a couple more quick things. Anyone want to volunteer to be on the committee? We already have a few for the district conference committee, which will have the district conference next October. If anyone's interested in volunteering, reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Everybody knows how to get a hold of me. So we're looking for a few friends for that as well. And DEI, today we're going to be talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I couldn't be prouder with the work that our district is doing and what we are all doing, but in particular, our district is doing great things. We have formed a committee. We are all welcome in the family of Rotary. So I've had a lot to say, and I thank you for your time. And I give it back to Scott, the chair of PETS. Thank you.
Thank you, District Governor-elect Lisa. Wow, she shoved more into that like 6-minute segment than is usually allowable. But a lot of information there, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you for your enthusiasm. I think that it's contagious. It's contagious. So anybody who has attended a meeting or has had to deal with their membership over the last 2 years probably has realized that the pandemic has put a little bit of a dent in the enthusiasm of how we run our meetings. And now we're just starting to come out of this stuff. So we have to re-engage our members and get them going again. And we got to motivate them. So I got a guy who's really good at motivating people, former or past district governor Kevin Crosby, and he has volunteered to give us a presentation about what we can do to get our meetings and our members better, get them engaged, get them motivated. Kevin, are you ready to roll with this thing?
I am ready. Thank you.
All right, Kevin, take it over.
And I have 10 minutes before we go into some discussion groups. So I don't know that I've ever talked about membership in such a short period of time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you as the incoming presidents of your clubs to help your clubs get bigger and better. And they are your clubs for the next year. So I would love to see each of you kind of take up this challenge and find ways to help your club get bigger and better. But I want to go back to a fundamental first, because I think very often our club members, particularly those who've been in our club for a long time, are probably pretty comfortable with the club and aren't necessarily feeling any sense of urgency to bring new members in. They recognize that it's something that we should be doing, but they enjoy coming and seeing their friends on a regular basis. And I think that part of your role as the president of the club is to find ways to engage your members in that effort to help your club become bigger and better. So obviously, all of us know that as a club, we have a focus on service. Most of the members joined your club because they want to do local community service, but there certainly are many people in your club that also enjoy doing international humanitarian work. So you want to acknowledge that there's that motivation driving their interest in Rotary, as well as the interest of potential members who might want to check out your club. The vision of Rotary, of course, is that we see a world where people come together and take action to bring about change. And so in order for a Rotary Club to be effective, there's a few things that are necessary. One is the time and talent of the members who propose and plan and organize activities. If your club loses members and doesn't replace them, you're going to have fewer and fewer people, obviously, who can propose projects, plan projects, organize activities, and eventually the club just becomes less able to do the work of Rotary clubs that everyone wants to do. And you also need the time and talent of your members to perform community service. Again, that's the number one reason people join Rotaries, is to do local community service. And the more people you have, the more you can do, the more you can spread that work around to people in the club. We know you will never get 100% participation in any one activity, but hopefully across several activities you can get 100% of your members involved in some of those activities. Fundraising is an essential ingredient to providing service and support for humanitarian projects and scholarships and so on. So again, that's another reason to bring more people into the club so that you have more energy, more people working on collecting money, and participating in meetings and events. It really is in Rotary, the more the merrier. And as clubs, and I've seen this over my career, as clubs shrink, they tend to have less activities, less meetings, less speakers. Meetings suffer, and it's kind of it's a spiral that sometimes can be very difficult to come out of. So for the vitality of your club, it's important that every member recognize the importance of inviting people to become part of your group. But why is it necessary to think about adding people? If everybody in your club is getting along fine and is happy, why do you need to add more people? Well, the fact of life is that you're going to lose people. No matter how good and vibrant your club is, there's going to be a loss of members over time. And your membership will always be that very simple equation here. It's the rate at which you attract people and the rate at which people leave. And unfortunately for many clubs, the rate of attrition is exceeding their rate of attraction, so they're shrinking. And when they shrink, they have less resources, less uh, good minds to work on planning projects and raising money and so on. When we think about why people leave, there's really two categories. One's uncontrollable. In my own club, we had 3 members who passed away in a year. That's an uncontrollable attrition. There's nothing we could have done as a club to prevent that. But then there are other factors. Many people will leave a Rotary Club within the first year of joining it because they just never made the connection to the club. They might have had false expectations, or some situation in their personal lives changed. But there are things that you as a president can help your club address that might be able to reduce that voluntary attrition that happens. So there's a very typical pattern that occurs in membership, and this is the pattern actually for our whole district. I don't have patterns for individual clubs, but as a whole, if you took all the clubs in our district, this is the actual pattern that happens over a period of time. You get usually modest growth starting July 1st until you get hit December. And then by the end of December, there's a drop off. And you probably know the reason for this. Dues, the RI dues are based on your membership on January 1st. So many clubs will prune their membership of any inactive members before they get to January 1st, so that they're not paying another 6 months of dues for that person. So there is a drop off that happens year in, year out. But then membership starts to grow again. And typically the second half of the year, for whatever reason, has more growth than the first half of the Rotary year, typically. But when you get to June, that same drop off happens, only it's worse. And that's because not only are the RI dues based on the members in your club on July 1st, the district dues, which come out once a year, are based on that same number. So if you've got members who have really kind of dropped out of your club, but they're still on your rolls, most clubs will remove them as members, so they're not paying dues for the next 6 months and not paying the district dues on those members. So this pattern is very common. What this chart represents is if you wanted to end up, if the district wanted to end up with a net gain by the end of the year, you would just take this curve and push it up so that when it ends after that big drop off, you're still a plus, in the plus range. This happens to be our district, and right now we're tracking pretty close to that pattern. So we're hopeful at the district level that we might be able to end up with a net gain rather than a loss. But it's good to keep this in mind, because unfortunately you can get very optimistic around May. You know, oh, we're at a +3 in May in our club. We're doing great. And then come July, you're down 5 people, let's say. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at membership. It's not enough just to add 1 or 2 throughout the year, because you're probably going to lose more than that. In fact, you now have data on your club. Hopefully all of you got this worksheet that I sent out. And I'm not going to go through the whole worksheet. This will help you set your membership goals for the year in the bottom part of the sheet. But I want to draw your attention to 3 important numbers here. One is the actual attrition rate, 3-year attrition rate for your club. Now this happens to be my club, Buffalo Sunrise. So our attrition rate over 3 years is 15.4. We generally say an average attrition rate's around 15%, somewhere between 10 and 15%. So we're just a little bit over what would be an average attrition rate. I'm not terribly concerned. Again, we had 3 members that passed away over the last 2 years, so that's kind of an unusual thing for us. But anyway, so that's an important number to keep in mind for whatever it is for your club. The next rate is obviously also very important, the attraction rate. So this is again a 3-year average. Our club happens to have a very good 3-year average. We're 28.2 over 3 years, so we're doing a great job attracting people. We can probably do some things to try to reduce the attrition, the people who are leaving voluntarily. The general guideline is that you would like to have your attraction rate be 5% greater than your attrition rate. So look at your numbers for your club, see where you are. If you're upside down in the sense that your attrition's higher than your attraction, you know you've got to work on both of those issues. If your attrition rate is fine, you're not losing members, but your attraction rate is low, then you know what you need to be working on, which is how do you make your club more attractive to new members? How can you bring in more new members? If you had high numbers, for example, in both attrition and attraction, you would probably characterize your club as more of a revolving door. You're bringing in a lot of people, but a lot of people are leaving. So there's just something in the dynamics that isn't working quite right. It's probably engaging those new members right away so that they find a reason to stay in your club. This sheet will suggest where you might focus your attention. Because when we talk about membership, we're talking about engaging your existing members so they stay, and you're talking about how do you attract more members so you can replenish those that do leave. So this worksheet hopefully you'll find helpful, and when you get to setting your goals, you're doing it at least based on knowledge about your actual history. Hopefully, again, this sheet will help you focus your attention on the highest priority for growing your club. And I think we're about ready to go. We are ready to go into our breakout sessions now. So in these breakout sessions, there's going to be about 5 people in each group. We'd like you to share your thoughts on what engages and motivates your members in your club. And I would talk about 2 different kinds of engagement. One is engagement in the activities of your club, so that people want to participate, whether it's fundraising or service projects or whatever. But the other topic would be engaging your members in taking responsibility for helping to grow your club. Because again, if most of your members feel like that's somebody else's job, that's your membership chair's job, then it's going to be an uphill battle. I think you will be better served as president if you can get all of your members to take the responsibility for helping the club grow. And then talking about running a vibrant club meeting, what are the things that you do that keep your members excited about being in your club, that keep them coming back week after week or every 2 weeks, however frequently you meet, and you share some of your best practices in that way. Okay, so I'm going to let, is it Dave, you're going to break folks out into groups?
Yeah, I can do that now, but please
Okay.
remind people to have one individual that is going to be recording or making some sketch notes about this.
Sure.
And then when they
Yep.
come back, we'll discuss that. Thanks very much.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, we're going 4, 3, 2, 1, bye.
Do we have numbered breakout rooms? I don't know if we did that.
Yeah, we have 6 breakout rooms, and we had a person in charge of every one of them. Why don't you, if you're going to start discussions, go through
All right,
each room.
I'll start with our room. let's talk about what we discussed when we talked to engaging your clubs, um, engaging the membership. A lot of ideas were folks around getting involved in a hands-on project, something that had, an easy access project. And the Great Lakes Watershed Cleanup and Cleanup project seems to be really big. Everybody's getting into that. The other thing was make sure you make Rotary fun, hold social events. We had some good ideas about that. Let's see here. Make sure that you have a project where all members can be involved in it. Get an all hands on project. That's a good way to get back involved. And again, make it fun. So as far as running a vibrant meeting, the theme was make sure you have good speakers and get a good committee to do that. And someone mentioned hiring Tommy to be the entertainment. I don't know what that was all about. And having a good sergeant at arms to keep the meetings moving. So those are some ideas out in our group. I'll pass it on to the next group with Kevin.
How about Lisa? Lisa, team 6.
Or Lisa.
We had Melanie was going to be our spokesperson, right, Melanie? Go,
Yes.
go, go.
Yes, I will. So a few things we talked about is Jason mentioned that they have a hands-on committee that really comes up with different events like a park cleanup. They were giving poinsettias to care homes. They also talked about, he also talked about having pods, and basically the pods would be in charge of kind of setting up who the speaker is and kind of planning it so it rotates. So everybody has an opportunity sometime during the year to actually participate in planning the event. We also talked about having spontaneous service events, as well as having a variety of speakers. So one of the examples at our club is we had a professional golf player come and speak. And for me, I'm not a big golf person, but it drew in a lot of people that were kind of hiding out during COVID and didn't come. So I think having a variety of speakers come that will attract different people is really important. And we also talked about just making sure there's an agenda ahead of time and marketing it to the appropriate people. So, and also when you're onboarding individuals, what experience are they looking for? Like really trying to survey them, what's some interests that you have? Why did you join? And kind of trying to find a way to incorporate that into your service projects or meetings.
Okay, good. Kevin, could you please?
Sure. There seemed to be general agreement that in most clubs there's a variety of ways that people get motivated and get engaged, and so the secret is to offer enough different opportunities so that you can address hopefully all of the various interests that your members might have, kind of offer that smorgasbord of ways to become engaged. Doc brought up an interesting challenge. We talked about trying to recruit younger members. And if you're in a club where most of the members, or many of them at least, are retired, they don't travel in the same circles where the younger potential members might be. So it's a particular challenge because unlike those who are in a workplace that might have access to younger potential members, when you're retired, those seem to come less often. We also talked about the importance of having good speakers that can get members excited about projects. I think that's it. I know we're
Okay.
a little tight on time, so.
Okay, thank you very much. Aaron and Nancy sort of teamed up in one group. Did you have somebody? Hello, Aaron.
Rick Evans is going to be our spokesperson, so go Rick. St. Catharines.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, we spoke about a lot of the things that have already been spoken about. Most of it when it comes to engaging people, it's speakers, and what's nice about different types of speakers that are involved in community, local issues, but also now with Zoom, we can have some international speakers. So that's something that's really kind of new with Zoom. So you're not limited to just local speakers. When it comes to elements for a vibrant meeting. Well, it's again, the speakers, changing up things. I know with our club, we do one meeting a month that is an actual social. So that gives everybody an opportunity not only to get to know each other a little bit better, but an opportunity to bring new potential members in, to introduce them to Rotary, and bring even family members as well. The hybrid meetings help us with our snowbirds. We have a couple of those even with our meeting this afternoon. We had a couple from Florida joining us. And the corporate memberships and the family memberships have also helped with keeping our numbers up there, even though we're still not as good as that club that was mentioned earlier. We're still trying. We're still trying. I'm doing this presidency the second time, and the first time I did that, I had 148 members. Now I have 88. So it's a big difference from 28 years ago.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Could I have Kofi or his representative, please?
I think that's us, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry.
So no, that's okay. I volunteered to take notes. So the first question was what motivates or engages your members, and we talked about being hands-on, the fellowship, both the hands-on and in both the hands-on and social aspect, and feeling connected and doing projects or good deeds. It really was the combination piece. It was doing in friendship, right? So we all talked about hybrid and the technology required for hybrid being a challenge to that. So when we talked about running a vibrant club meeting, we talked about staying on track. And then introducing a fun component, so a sort of a limited time fun component. And the example that was given was somebody finds an obscure piece of information about one of the members, and they give it out, and then everybody has to guess which member it's about. And that was kind of neat. I like that idea. I might steal that. So hopefully that's okay. And good speakers, and especially with regards to current events. So we often get people willing to come and talk to us because they need money. It's a fundraising piece. They're coming out because they got a project and they want to raise money. We need money to go here. We need money to go there. And those are good speakers, but there's always that money ask attached to that. And so for best practices, we talked about time management. A lot of our meetings, whether they're breakfast or lunch, dinners maybe a little bit more flexible, but not always. But I know our lunch meeting, I mean, when I was at work, I had this much time for lunch. And if I took longer than that for lunch, then I had to work longer at the end of my day. And that delayed me getting home to take care of my kids. So I really had to keep within that lunch period. And so staying on track, that time management piece was really important. And then with the interesting speakers, and I think was it Kevin? I think you might have mentioned reaching out to one of the colleges or universities, and he used the word esoteric topics. So something that's not necessarily, or was that Tommy? I think maybe it was Tommy. That's it. Not necessarily a money ask, more like an educational piece where it's some strange, I think it was dancing squirrels or something. No, squirrels something. I don't know.
Squirrels.
Studying squirrels. And it was just something interesting that we could, sort of take an interest in, or find, like funny or fun, and get a little piece of education out of it without having to wonder whether or not we have to fundraise for it. So, and Paul Crossman just said we had an electric car expert speak. I love that. So, so those kinds of things where, we're all seeing these electric cars come out. So why wouldn't we get somebody come and talk about electric cars? So, that's what we came up with. I hope I did us justice.
You did.
Okay. I got to tell Scott that we've lost Frank.
Frank just came back.
Oh.
My connection.
He got lost
failed
in the sunflower field.
Yeah, lost in the maze.
Okay. Now, did you have somebody that was going to discuss your groups, or were you doing it?
Yeah, I'll just throw a couple of things out. Basically everything's been has already been said. Other than Stony Creek, so Stony Creek Hamilton East joined forces and merged on July the 1st. And the Stony Creek Club have breakfast meetings, and the East Hamilton Club had noon meetings. So what they're doing is they're alternating between those two, and on the 5th, if there's the 5th week in the month, then they do a social. So that seems to be working for them. And again, we talked about community service, ensuring we have good speakers, social events. And for some clubs, hybrid meetings seem to be working quite well. So those that want to join in person can, and those that can't can do it by computer. So working together, other clubs working together on projects. So Simcoe, Norfolk, Delhi, for instance, have been doing that for about 3 years now. It seems to be working. They're also trying to get new membership by working together to do that. So that's it.
Have we gone around the horn here on this one? Any other groups that left? I think we're good here. I think we're good. Excellent discussion. First of all, thank you, Kevin, for enlightening us tonight about engaging our members and running some vibrant meetings, and the discussions were good. But there's some good common themes. I think we are all getting back in the right frame of mind here to get our meetings going well and getting our clubs engaged. This is the kind of stuff we like to hear, and I think that maybe some people are wondering if they're on the right track. They might have some affirmation. Those who may not have had any idea what to do with their clubs, maybe you got a couple good ideas out of this tonight. Take those notes. These are all good things. All right, on to our next topic. So this is a little bit of a dovetail issue here. We're talking about engaging our members and running vibrant meetings for the benefit of our membership. How are we developing our members? How are we growing our clubs? Are we growing them in a strong fashion? So I got someone who's an expert on this, who has stepped up to the plate, answered the bell here for our district, and it's our Chair for Membership Development, Immediate Past District Governor Frank Adamson. Frank, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Scott. If I can just make this work, we'll bear with me.
Frank, are you clicking on the shared screen or the actual screen?
Yeah, no, I'm on the share screen. It just doesn't seem to want to pick up. I can see it. 1 second.
We see it.
Yeah, it doesn't want to advance though. That's the problem.
There's a arrow down at the lower left bottom, a right-hand arrow, way at the bottom of the screen. Is that, I don't know, you're on a Mac, I think.
Yeah, I am. This guy's just hang on, sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much for the opportunity to talk to you about some different club structures and as a way of strategies for growing your club. And Kevin, feel free to jump in here anywhere. So I've been asked to just talk a bit about different club structures. And as we've already talked about tonight, there's something called satellite clubs that have been around for about 4 or 5 years. Something a bit newer is something called a passport club. And then in some jurisdictions, we have theme clubs. So we're just going to talk a bit about these. So starting with a satellite club, what is it? Why would you want to start a satellite club? and how do you go about starting a satellite club. So to start with, that satellites are part of a sponsoring club. So we need a sponsoring club. The reason for satellites is that you only need 8 members to start that club. Whereas if you're starting a traditional Rotary club, to get a charter, you have to have 20 members to start with. So this is a way of starting with fewer people. Often they are young professionals, they may be early retirees. It could be an interest group, as is the club that has just been chartered by Buffalo Sunrise, the East Buffalo Club. Current members that basically maybe aren't as focused on or interested in the traditions of a club, meeting every week, so on and so forth, that may want to get more, have less meetings, more activities, have meetings for the purpose of sorting out a fundraiser or a service project that they're going to do. And the club isn't losing anybody, because if someone that's a current member goes over to the satellite, it's still part of that club. So I think there's a benefit here. So the club is really an appendage of the host club. It does have a separate board. It doesn't have a president, but it has a chair. And it's recommended that the chair be a member of the board of the sponsoring club. But they do have their own meetings, and they can go to your traditional meeting, or those folks can come to a satellite meeting. And they tend to share fundraising and service projects. They pay dues, the same as a sponsoring club. And so whatever that due structure is in the sponsoring club, they will pay the same. And once they do grow to 20 members, they have that potential of actually forming their own Rotary club. But it gives them an opportunity over a period of time to grow to 20 members. Now, the sponsoring club may feel, boy, we just lost 20 members. Well, the reality is we've just formed a new club within that same district. So there certainly is no loss to the Rotary family whatsoever, even if that does happen. Right now in 7090, we have 3 clubs. So the Satellite Club of Tonawandis, which is sponsored by Kenmore, actually replaced a club that in their 99th year gave up their charter. The club had become very old, pretty stale. Nobody wanted to take on the role being the president for the 3rd or 4th time. And so they gave up their charter. And so a satellite club was formed, and it is partnered with Kenmore. East Buffalo was just formally chartered last night. So it's a satellite club of the Buffalo Sunrise Club. As Kevin maybe mentioned earlier, it primarily is Black females from East Buffalo, and which is a bit of a different twist, but certainly they're going to be focused on housing and issues that they have in East Buffalo. And then Satellite Club of Niagara Falls is being officially chartered, and they're having their charter meeting, I believe, next week. I would be there, but I'm going to be in Washington State. So those are 3 we have right now, and we're working on a few more. The Brantford Sunrise Club, I think in consult with Brantford Club, is working on a satellite club that will probably be formed in July of this year, and that's going to be Paris, Ontario. And we're looking at one in Thorold as well, which would be a satellite of the Lewiston Niagara-on-the-Lake Club. So the other motto that's been out there for not as long, but there are a few around, and these are passport clubs. So basically, what is it? How do they function, and how do they meet? Basically, they tend to meet via Zoom. They, in some circumstances, they are members from within a district, similar to an e-club. But they have a lot more flexibility. They tend to only meet twice a month. They try to have engaging meetings. There's a broad appeal for people that just don't have the time or the wherewithal to be at a weekly meeting where it's a breakfast meeting or a lunch or dinner meeting, for instance. A way for folks to make connections from across a district or for that matter, districts. Basically, these are pretty affordable because there are no meals associated with the club whatsoever. They do need to have 20 members to form. So there is a passport club in District 7080. If anybody's interested in taking a look at this, I can help you out. They tend to have strong service projects. And the expectation is that as a passport club, these members will jump in for meetings of other clubs, not just throughout the district, but actually around the world if they so want. And they can go in there and steal good ideas and then bring it back to their club. And they tend to work or align with other clubs in a service project, for instance. As I said, they need 20 members. They tend to be throughout a district. As I said, meetings are virtual. And the idea is that these members can join other service club projects. In some cases, the way their charter is written up in their bylaws is that the expectation is they attend at least 4 club meetings throughout the year within their district or around the world for that matter. So again, just that whole term passport, the ability to move freely from club to club, attending meetings, participating in activities of other clubs. Again, any Rotarian can attend any other club when they're traveling, but passport clubs encourage their members to do so regularly, which again brings fresh ideas back to their own club. And certainly I have found that in my world travels and being in clubs in Seattle or Pullman, Washington, or Hamburg, Germany, is that you find out things that clubs are doing that you've never thought of, and you can sort of steal those ideas and bring them back and maybe try to implement them in your club. Similar to my idea as governor of having a watershed cleanup in the Great Lakes, which went from our district and grew exponentially over to 15 districts around the Great Lakes. So that was one person's idea that just sort of took off. Rotaract clubs. So we have 2 kinds of Rotaract clubs. We have community, and traditionally these have been university or maybe college-based clubs. But a community Rotaract club is not affiliated with the university. Again, these are young professionals, normally between 18 to 30 years of age. Unlike a university club, they're not students, but they're probably very recent graduates of a university or of a college. Rotaract clubs to work really need to be not just sponsored by a Rotary club, but heavily involved with that Rotary club. So there really should be a liaison between the Rotary club and the Rotaract club to really make these things work. And under the new structure of format of Rotary International, basically a Rotaractor can join a Rotary club and be a member of both clubs at the same time if they want to. And I know a number of clubs have made that pretty easy for them in regards to waiving dues or having a corporate sponsor that Rotaractor at their club. But again, that opportunity to have them work with existing Rotary clubs and vice versa on service projects and fundraisers is a great way to go. Again, as with the Rotary Club, they have a president, they have a board, they have officers, and they tend to meet maybe twice a month. And one meeting may be to develop a service project or a fundraising project, and then the next one is to actually get out there and do some fundraising or do a service project. As of July the 1st, 2022, they will be assessed $8 by Rotary International. And again, Rotary International is now recognizing these folks as true members of Rotary and the Rotary family, not just an appendage of Rotary. The university-based clubs will pay $5 a year to RI. And I'm not sure what the district's going to do in this regard, if we're going to have to charge them a district due as well. But I leave that to Lisa and her folks to sort out. Again, these are considered true members of RI. And I really want to emphasize the fact that it's really important to have a host liaison member, so that the Rotary Club has a member that attends the Rotaract meetings and that they feel welcome to come to your meetings and to participate in your activities. Theme clubs, there are some, not many, but I was just looking at the areas of focus to say, you know, are there an opportunity to form a club based on the 7 areas of focus? And so if you look at disease prevention and treatment, or hospital staff, we have one of those. So the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus was formed through people that worked at Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus a number of years ago. And so that was the focus for that club. Peace and conflict resolution. Kevin Crosby and a few others have been working with the opportunity of maybe having a Peace Corps club. So that'd be a theme club. And I think there's great potential for this to happen within our district. Clean water and sanitation. So I found through the Great Lakes Watershed Cleanup, for instance, that some clubs tapped into work with conservation authorities. In Hamilton, there's the Friends of Coots Paradise, which is a large wetlands area that do cleanups throughout the year, not just on Earth Day. And you know, there's, I think, a possibility for those people in that kind of organization to get involved with Rotary and maybe even become a Rotary club. Maternal and child health. Again, this could be a club of midwives, nurses, for instance. Basic education and literacy. You know, we have a big part of Rotary, so schools and libraries. Economic development, community development. A number of clubs have corporate membership. So that could be, I know in our area, Dunville, Welland, Fawn Hill has a credit union, the Penn Credit Union, that have members in those different Rotary clubs. And again, supporting the environment. So again, just some things to think about in regards to a theme club, and certainly that's something that could be formed. There are a number of resources. Basically, the district website has a lot of information in regards to this, the RI website. And if you just Google Guide to Passport Clubs or Google Guide to Satellite Clubs, it's going to pop right up without having to go through my Rotary. And there's lots of information there to assist you if you're interested in doing that. So essentially, that is a real whirlwind tour of different clubs. And thanks very much. And if anybody has any questions, Kevin would be really happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Well, this was real, that's a lot of information, Frank, but I think the idea here is that if you are thinking to yourself, you know, we need to update our club, we need to enhance our membership, and you're looking around at the people in your own club and you're saying, well, there's plenty of opportunities out there to get members, but maybe they don't want to meet with us for this dinner meeting and they want to do something different. There's alternatives to getting other members in a format that would be most presentable to them. So look around, be creative. There's great opportunities to enhance your membership in different demographics, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that coming up. So, all right, Frank, thank you so very much. That was a lot of information, a lot of resources out there. You know, look into it. It might be a good fit for your club. There might be areas that can be used for these Rotaract, Satellite, Passport clubs, and make it work. All right, let's take a little bit of we're going to take a real quick 5-minute break. And when we get back, Aaron Carlson and his team are going to lead us through a little bit of a fun discussion on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So be back in, it's at 8. Oh, we're going to make this whole quick here. Be back at 8:15. Let's get this thing going. And so take your break. 8:15, we'll start this up right away. Thank you. In typical fashion, we're behind.
That's why I talked about.
I'm glad you explained that themed thing, because I was thinking they'd all wear bunny costumes or something. Or
They could. That could be Niagara Falls sunrise.
That's the next club coming up. Yes.
Yeah.
Or Niagara College, whatever. I was looking at the timing and I realized that I was 10 minutes into past my time before I even started. So anyways,
those are good and bad problems. That means people are talking and, you know, we're having good discussions. So that's okay too.
Well, I was really worried for a while there when I couldn't find Frank.
yeah,
On the
I
list.
don't know what happened. I just froze and then I lost my my internet connection completely. I had to go back in and reboot it. So I
Well,
just figured, well, I guess Kevin's going to be doing this presentation.
I came just in time.
Yeah, the joys of computers.
No, it's where you live, Frank. You know that. It's
Well, that
you
too,
just
okay, yeah.
you don't have 5 at all, and
Well, listen, I managed to get 66 club visits in by Zoom, and it pretty much, with the exception of one of them, all works. So it wasn't too bad.
He kept those mice running on that thing pretty good. To get
Yeah.
that going.
Two minutes.
We'll see how good. We'll see if it's like high school where kids are just running in at the bell.
Yeah, everybody's putting their cigarettes out.
Yeah. They did it in my high school. I don't know about yours, but that was definitely my high school.
Yeah, there was a line way out in the edge of the property.
Right to the edge. Oh boy.
Okay. Okay, that's what I didn't do.
Well, we certainly got a few more people tonight than we had signed up, David. So we had to work around that. That's okay though.
Well, I only ended up with Troy and another person that didn't get in the meeting. They came after I set it out. I think it was Troy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that he registered, but he was here tonight. Is here tonight.
Worked out pretty good.
Okay.
All right, is everybody getting back in here?
Hey, Frank, to finish my conversation, we're in the breakout room. The 2 teams we sponsored went to head 3 times during the competition on Saturday. And then the one team that I help all the time beat out the other team in the final. So I'm expecting some conversation tomorrow morning during our Rotary meeting.
What kind of competition was that,
It's
Paul?
a robotics competition. It's called
boy.
First Robotics.
That sounds exciting.
It is.
Is
Tiring.
this the one where they were like beating each other up type?
No, this is more like a This is more like a 3-on-3 basketball game.
Oh wow!
With different type of objects that they have to do. In 8 weeks, the kids have to design, build, and code a robot. It weighs 125 pounds and goes about 85 kilometers an hour.
Wow!
This one climbs monkey bars and shoots tennis balls that are 24 inches in diameter into a hub that's 8.5 feet in the air.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
That's impressive.
Yeah, I do transportation. I get them to the events and I
Yeah.
feed them. That's about all I know about. and I build the wood stuff that they have to run into when they're practicing. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Our
That's
club
pretty-
gave a pretty substantial donation to Six Nations Polytechnic last year to build a robot for First Robotics. So,
And
Very
my
happy about
team
that.
5406 actually helped them get it running.
yeah, thank you.
They came down to we have a build center downtown Hamilton and we help other teams. And they came down and helped them with the coding and getting the electronics working properly on it. They're great
Excellent.
people.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, they are.
We just had them, not the robotics team, but Polytechnic in general came as a guest speaker 2 weeks ago to
Yeah.
our Rotary. Very good, very interesting stuff they're doing there.
That's exciting. Okay, we're typical. We're a couple minutes behind here. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into our discussion and our panel discussion on diversity, equity, inclusion. Now, Lisa Bishop has been chairing this a little bit, and but we brought on some experts. And Aaron Carlson told me he has his Jamboard all lined up, ready to go, and or maybe not. I don't know.
Yes, so
Aaron, take it away.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
so-
I think Kofi's going to start us off here. So
Oh,
one of your cohort presidents, Kofi, why don't you take it away?
great. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the DEI session of PETS 3. My name is Kofi Finnegan, and today I'm wearing two different hats. First, I'm here as a participant of PETS, and like most of you, I'm really looking forward to getting the tools that I need to lead my club, Buffalo Sunrise, in the coming year. Second, I'm here as a representative of a district, the district's DEI committee, and I'm delighted to have some of my committee members here with me to lead a discussion on how we're going to cultivate a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture in our clubs. As you all know by now, Rotary leadership has made a very strong commitment to DEI, and they're not just paying lip service to it. They've actually created several products to help us implement DEI programs in our clubs, which includes things like a code of conduct, assessment tools, and a few courses in the Rotary's Learning Center, which you can access through our district's website. And I encourage you to check them out. So now it's my pleasure to introduce the facilitator for this session, my distinguished committee member, Aaron Carlson. Aaron, please take it away.
Thank you, Kofi. Let's see here if I can share my screen. All right, can you guys see that okay? Expanding our reach, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
We can see it.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all. I hope you're enjoying your PETS training so far. Tonight, we're going to facilitate an interactive discussion around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Before I get started, I just want to acknowledge Victoria Parlator, who really helped us design this Jamboard in this discussion tonight. She couldn't join us, but we're going to be here tonight. I'm joined with Nancy Baker from the Dundas Valley Sunrise Club, who's going to help me capture some of your thoughts on the Jamboard. So tonight, like I mentioned, we're going to use Jamboard to capture the conversation. Due to limited time, we're going to move through the discussion rather quickly, but I'd encourage you to refer back to the Jamboard. We're going to send it out to you all so you have it. To draw upon insights with your peers, you can share it with your board, your membership committee as you integrate the topics of diversity, equity, and inclusion into the various aspects of your club. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm kind of curious to hear what you all think about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So feel free to type into the chat, or you can take yourself off mute and say it aloud. What does diversity, equity, and inclusion mean to you?
Everyone is welcome.
So as you think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, what's it mean to you? Feel free to put it in the chat or just take yourself off mute and say it out loud.
I believe somebody said that everybody is welcome.
Great. So it means that a person can join as their authentic self without fear of judgment or bias. Not being old, moldy, white guys. Oh, what was Melissa Schrock saying? Old, Mel, and Pell. Somebody is welcomed.
If I can just add something, I know in our club on Rotary Niagara Falls Sunrise, a couple of years ago, we, as part of our longtime tradition, said a Christian prayer the start of every meeting. And I pushed to eliminate this because to me, it said that we were a bunch of Christians who met every week. So how did that make people who weren't Christian feel? And so sometimes we have to take a look at the things that, yes, we can say everyone is welcome, but what are we doing to make sure that everyone feels welcome, that they are actually a part? So taking a look at the things that we do to make sure that people really feel like they can be a part of this club. So a simple thing as changing up the fact that we don't have a Christian prayer to start the meeting. And if we're going to do prayer, we have to do it inclusive of all religions. So therefore, let's not have a prayer, and then we don't have to worry about offending anyone. Or it's not so much the offense, it's to make them feel that, yes, as a non-Christian, they too are a part of the club.
Great, thank you, Carrie. Yeah. Cultural responsiveness, someone else said. Changing up the club traditions, such as a Christian prayer. It means having all people feel welcomed. What else? What does DEI mean to you all?
One thing I want to do with our club, I've been using a term, meaningful diversity, to grow, to represent our community. The thing that I'm struggling with is how to do, I think we have to create long-term relationships with other cultural communities within our community. But I want to be able to open, not just open the door to show them that they're welcome, but to go out and reach out through the door. And as a bunch of, the old moldy white guys or whatever, I'd like to be able to show them that we really do mean it in a long-term, lasting way, that we don't want token people of color. We just want a diverse group to reflect our community. So that isn't really suggesting much, but it's more just laying out my mission where I'm starting from zero knowledge.
I think that's important. And you'll see that in some of the materials RI has developed as not having that token person of color. Someone else said, we still toast the Queen. I think this may put off new younger members. Another person added, I think it is more proactive reaching out to people of various races, cultures, genders, and sexual orientation. Tammy mentioned looking at ourselves, our habits, and our norms through a lens that aim to ensure that there are no visible barriers or belonging. Kevin Crosby, inclusiveness, making sure we don't have barriers to participation due to differing abilities, mobility, eyesight, hearing impairments. All right. Our district is committed to inclusiveness. We've got a district committee that looks at that and accessibility. Lisa Bishop, welcoming of all people, abilities, care, and respect. Oh, this is terrific.
I would like to say that there's a concept of what I would call just pretending to be inclusive. And as far as I'm concerned, if there's inclusiveness is not followed up with action and welcome action, it's going to fail.
Great. So that idea of being genuine and authentic in your interactions.
Absolutely.
Making sure that your facility where you're having your Rotary meeting is accessible. And that doesn't necessarily mean ramps. There are hearing impaired and visually impaired and physically impaired. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't be perfect Rotarians.
Yeah, great. Meeting space, make sure that's accessible. Looking at that. Being aware and experiencing interconnectedness of all people, terrific. Kofi, a sense of belonging. Great. Yeah, these are all terrific. Like I mentioned, we're going to share this link with everybody so you can remember the conversation that you've all created. So, this is absolutely terrific. Thank you all for sharing how diversity, equity, and inclusion means to you. Now let's take a look at how it impacts our collective experience in Rotary together. All right. So over the last 2 years, Rotary International has formed a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force. One of their first steps was establishing an organizational statement that is the foundation to their work. I'm going to invite a couple of folks to read each of the paragraphs. And Kofi, why don't you open us up with at Rotary and ending with lasting change?
Thank you, Aaron. Sure. At Rotary, we understand that cultivating a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture is essential to realizing our vision of a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change.
Thank you, Kofi. Maureen from the Lockport Club, if you can read this next paragraph, starting with "we value" and ending with "beliefs."
I have to unmute myself. Sorry about that. We value diversity and celebrate the contributions of people of all backgrounds across age, ethnicity, race, color, disability, learning style, religion, faith, socioeconomic status, culture, marital status, languages spoken, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity, as well as differences in ideas, thoughts, values, and beliefs.
Thank you, Maureen. And Lisa, why don't you just start us off with recognizing and ending with support to thrive?
I think there's only one Lisa on, so I'll jump in.
Thank you, Lisa.
Recognizing that individuals from certain groups have historically, we commit to advancing equity in all aspects of Rotary, including in our community partnerships, so that each person has the necessary access to resources, opportunities, networks, and support to thrive.
Thank you, Lisa. Is Tommy G with us? All right, Nancy, I'd like to invite you to start with "we believe" and maybe end with "valued and belong" if you can.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
We believe that all people hold visible and invisible qualities inherently unique. We strive to make
Oh, I think Nancy's audio cut out there, so I'll pick it up here. We believe that all people hold visible and invisible qualities that inherently make them unique, and we strive to create an inclusive culture where each person knows they are valued and belong. All right, I'd like to invite past District Governor Kevin Crosby, if you could close us out with our statement.
Sure. In line with our value of integrity, we are committed to being honest and transparent about where we need to be in our DEI journey as an organization and to continuing to learn and do better.
All right, thank you, Kevin. All right, so we've talked a little bit about why DEI is important to you. I'm curious to know why diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important to Rotary. Tell us in the chat, or just take yourself off mute and say it out loud. Why is DEI important to your club? Who'd like to start us off?
Carrie from Niagara Falls Sunrise. If we are the largest service club in the world, shouldn't our local membership also reflect the world? That's the way I look at it.
Terrific. Thank you. What else? Why is diversity, equity, and inclusion important to our clubs? Why is it important?
You're walking the walk. It's it's not lip service. It's the values that we hold.
I like that. Values that we hold.
And the power of our organization could be just so much so greater strengthened by doing this. It's just unbelievable.
The perspectives of people from different communities is important. I learned so much by talking to people outside of other communities.
Say a little bit more about that. How's embracing different perspectives brought change to you, your personal life or your club?
A little while ago in another sub-community I'm part of, there was a big discussion about how to make, how a woman was made to feel unsafe, and a bunch of men were mocking it because they thought it was not, it's not something they never dealt with. And I started speaking to women that I know, and this many years ago, I was blown away by the things that they have to do on a day-to-day basis to feel safe. I would have never known about it because I'm a big, ugly, fat dude. Nobody's going to be coming at me in a dark alley or whatever. So talking to them, I learned more than I would have by just using my own discernation. So I can learn the same thing by talking to people of different communities, whether it's racial, whatever. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. You know, we've heard in the chat, our table is stronger with diverse viewpoints. We can service the community better. We could be missing out on talented members, absolutely. We can't help our own communities if the communities are not represented. Different perspectives, what we just talked about. What else? We've got Janice upholding the four-way test as an example to set for the community and the potential members. Absolutely. I think that's very important. Evan Crosby, we welcome the diversity of ideas and perspectives that enrich our ideas, projects, and activities. We learn from each other, particularly those of different backgrounds and abilities. Yeah, I think that's so important. That came up in our breakouts and the breakout I was attending, the idea how projects really attract different members. And if we can attract different diverse folks, we can have all kinds of new projects that engage everyone. Terrific. Anything else folks want to share? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Why is it important?
I think
All right.
sustainability as well.
Yes.
As
absolutely.
populations change, as clubs change, it helps us to be relevant and sustainable and inclusive, welcoming.
That's really important in our more rural clubs where it used to be largely white, but there's a lot more people moving from the cities into the country, and we're getting a lot more mixed communities, which is great. But yeah, going back to us needing to reflect that community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very important. I've read quite a bit about with this COVID change. A lot of folks are moving from those more dense areas to rural areas. So making sure our clubs represent that population is absolutely important. Brenda shares, we gain different perspectives, enjoy access to new members, new money for fundraising, new ideas in general. As an executive director, I can appreciate that fundraising angle. Yes, new people. It's always a good thing. New ideas. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for taking a moment to share with one another why DEI is so important. Through PETS, you formed an important bond with one another, and I hope you'll reflect on the discussion tonight and lean on each other as you strive to implement DEI through your clubs. And now let's just take a little moment to figure out why DEI is so important to Rotary in our district. So someone said it earlier, living the four-way test. This is what binds each and every one of us as Rotarians. It's how we experience the journey together and create an environment where we can grow with one another. Sustainability. For Rotary to survive well into the future, we have to welcome diverse and inclusive opinions from all walks of life. Our world has become more global, more now than ever, to ensure that all voices are at the table to take us well into the future. Growth. Another person had mentioned this earlier. Creating an environment is important for our personal and professional growth. Creating a more inclusive environment will ensure we can grow our membership. Looking at our club policies and due structure to ensure equity will lend access to voices that aren't already at the table that really need to be. Finally, there's us. You all said it best when you so eloquently expressed why DEI is important to you, and I thank you for that. So now let's take a little bit of a look at some solutions. How do we move into action? How do we help each other figure out how to visualize DEI? So I want to ask you all, what have you or can you do to implement diversity, equity, and inclusion into your clubs? This is the big question, and I know there's some bright ideas in the room. So help out your fellow president-elects and feel free to share them in the chat or take yourself off mute and just shout it out.
This is the big question that I've been asking for a little while, but I think as the president, I want to reach out to, as I say, I think I said it earlier, the cultural community centers and whatnot. See if we can have cross group activities, show them that we're here for them, whatnot.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Reaching out to different types of cultural community centers. You know, we've talked about how do we do service with other groups and invite non-Rotarians to experience what we're doing at Rotary. An excellent way to do that is the upcoming watershed cleanup. Feel free to invite cultural centers out and participate in that cleanup.
I was going to try to, I don't know if this is, I haven't really expressed this to my club yet, but I was kind of hoping that I'd be able to stack the membership committee with all of our diverse members so we can increase our diversity. Because it's hard to go out and ask people to join if you're not from that diverse community, you know? Whereas if you can bring people to your club from their community. That's what I was kind of hoping to do.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Melanie
what
talks
if-
about diverse speakers.
I think we have to get over our own fear.
Getting over our
I
own
read
fear.
this earlier, something that said fear stands for forget everything and run, or it stands for face everything and rise.
Terrific.
I think a big challenge is that young people don't know anything about Rotary. And I think what we're trying to do at Dundas Valley Sunrise, we've created a survey trying to put it out on social media, at least to educate people about what we do. I think if you were to approach a group of young folks, for the most part, they wouldn't know. They would think service clubs are something their dad might have done.
Got some really great thoughts here. So to engage the young folks, use social media for awareness. Reaching out to groups like Six Nations Polytech to come out and speak. Diverse speakers, that's a big one here. Bring guests and diverse backgrounds. Service to diverse community members. After having them speak to our club, I see a common theme here of interesting and great speakers. Finding and sharing videos from Rotary clubs from around the world. Terrific. Got here in the chat. Great. Okay, great topic. Glad you enjoyed it, John. So if you could take one small step during your presidential year, what might that be to implement diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Aaron, this is Doc, if I can just jump in.
Yeah.
I think there's a caution that if you just get a few folks that are diverse to your normal group and you bring them in, you better have a project or something that integrates all these things together to not only gain new members that are diverse, but to keep them, interested and occupied.
Yeah. Doc brings up a really great point. So, having a project ready to integrate to all the components and keep them interested. One of the things I'd invite you to consider when you're inviting, diverse folks and different people from different backgrounds into your club, to do cohort initiation. Bring 2 or 3 people so they don't necessarily feel alone. There's other people there that look like them. So cohort induction. All right. Anything else? Any other helpful ideas?
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's really important to start building relationships first, because if you go out there and you start inviting people, hey, come and join our club, they don't know what you are all about. So first, you need to build relationships, build the trust, and then when they feel comfortable enough, they'll join the group.
Oh. Great. Building relationships, building trust, and then of course inviting them in. Great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Like I said, you've created a fellowship throughout this experience, and I hope you'll lean on your fellow cohort presidents as you discuss DEI with your board and your membership committee. So Rotary has suggested some additional concrete steps that you can take in your club to visualize and implement DEI. you'll recognize some of these steps as ones that you've already brainstormed. I'm not going to read this list out loud to you. We're actually going to provide you with the link to the brochure with this listing in there. And you also have the Jamboard as well following the training. We're running up here on time. So I want to thank you all for stepping up to the plate of leadership over the upcoming year. As you organize and plan your upcoming year, I'd invite you to check out some of these resources and think about how you and your club can begin to look at DEI and take your club to the next level, or perhaps it's just starting out, or maybe you're already there and you can share some best practices with other clubs. As you begin to lead your club into the upcoming year, lean on each other. Reach out to the district DEI team for any questions that you might have. These are two really great resources. Rotary International's put a lot of effort and volunteer leadership behind developing some of these resources. So I'd encourage you and invite you to check it out. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kofi, and I want to thank everyone and good luck with your year.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you so much for this great presentation and for introducing us to this very important subject. In addition, I'd like to thank all of you for your participation and also for your attention. I'm just sorry that we didn't have enough time to dive deep into this subject. However, I know my committee members and I were planning to stay on a little longer after this session ends. So if you want to join us, I think we are running a little bit late, so I don't know if that's going to happen. But again, I'd like to remind you about the tools available to you at the Rotary Learning Center. Aaron just mentioned a few to you, but please take advantage of them, learn as much as you can, and encourage your club members to do the same. So I wish you the best of luck as you work with your members to create a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture where all our members feel welcome, respected, and valued. Thank you.
Kofi, thank you so very much. Aaron, Nancy, what a great discussion and what a great way to end our session 3 of PETS. I think, look around you. If you want your club to be stronger, one of the surest ways to do it is through DEI. You're going to find out that your clubs can grow, become much stronger, have great ideas, great energy, and those tools are out there for you. Take advantage of it. Invite these guys to come to your club. They'll talk more about it in depth. And again, thanks for bringing this topic to us. Like I said, I think we can speak for a little bit longer, and we will, if you like, again, after we get some closing remarks from Lisa Bishop here. I will note that we will stick around if you want to further this discussion for a while. This is great. So thank you so much, you guys. Lisa, how about ending us up tonight?
Well, thank you. You'd think I used up all my words in my opening comments. I want to thank everyone so much for taking the time and being such active participants and valuing comments and making some of these your own, processing them and thinking about them, and it creates the conversation. I have to tell you, I went on the Rotary Learning Center. If you've not been able to go on or you've not done that yet, ask somebody to help you get on that. I'm actually going to email me and I'll help you get connected so you can go on the Rotary Learning Center. And I took the 4 basic courses, and one of them was understanding biases. And it really shook me up because it got me thinking about the way I think about different things, maybe words that I've used and different things that we've done within our club, and how I'm really motivated going forward. So I encourage you, it can be reflective and it makes you stronger. So I encourage you to use the Rotary Learning Center courses that are available. If you've not gone on to do that, as I said, reach out, because they're hidden gems. They're wonderful opportunities for learning, and you can use them in your club meetings as well and for committee development. Just thank you everyone for all the work, all the presenters, and our chair, Scott, for doing this because he's the chair of our PETS. And thank you so much, everyone. I look forward to seeing you April. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa, just a reminder, next PETS session is April 28th, and another great evening of learning for our president-elects. So again, thank you very much for participating tonight.